Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Schmidt. Our section 10.1 video involves a lot of written words rather than mathematical computations, so I created a PowerPoint presentation, which makes it a perfect time for me to introduce myself since it'll be convenient to have my face in this video rather than when we actually have to write down a lot of mathematical computations. So let's get started. We're going to start talking about logical statements. So you need to make sure to fill in these definitions in your worksheet. And also please note while you're filling in these definitions that some of them are logically equivalent, which is your last definition. So the purple ones, the conditional statement and the contrapositive statement are equivalent. And the pink ones, the converse statement and the inverse statement are equivalent. So would you please add that note to your notes while you're filling in those definitions? And here's our first example. See, it's not a mathematical computation, it's a written English sentence. I always brush my teeth in the morning. The conditional statement is always an if-then statement. So the conditional statement is, if I brush my teeth, then it's the morning. Now you should pause your video, jot that down, and think very carefully about these things. We have to do a lot of critical thinking when we're talking about logical statements. Do you see that this conditional statement means the same thing in English as the original sentence does? Because that's what we're going for. Next, I want to talk about the converse error, because that's the most common mistake people make when they're trying to write the conditional statement. So that's when you assume that that original sentence means if it's morning, then I brush my teeth. Once again, you should pause your video, make a good note of that, and let's make sure we understand why the conditional statement is if I brush my teeth, then it's morning. And it would actually be a mistake to say, if it's morning, then I brush my teeth. Think about that. If I brush my teeth, then it's morning. That means the same thing as I always brush my teeth in the morning. That's because nobody's guaranteeing you're brushing your teeth every single day. Hopefully we are, we're supposed to, right? But you're not necessarily brushing your teeth every single day. So the conditional statement needs to read, if I brush my teeth, then it's morning. Now let's talk about the converse statement. The converse statement is, if it's the morning, then I brush my teeth. So the converse is always the reverse statement. That is what a converse statement is. Next, we'll go over the inverse statement. The inverse statement is, if I don't brush my teeth, then it's not morning. So after you copy down your definitions on the first page of your 10.1 worksheet, you need to identify your P's and your Q's in your logical statements. Notice in the inverse statement, the first part that says, if I don't brush my teeth, that is not P. If I don't brush my teeth is not P, because the P is the brush my teeth from the conditional statement. And then the second phrase, it's not the morning, in the inverse statement. If it's not the morning, that's because that was the second phrase, but it's the negation of the second phrase in the original conditional statement. Now let's talk about the contrapositive. There are a bunch of negations in the contrapositive as well, but the order matters. So we say, if it's not the morning, then I don't brush my teeth. The contrapositive is not Q, then not P. So once again, in order to understand what P's and Q's are, you have to fill in your definitions on the first page of your 10.1 worksheet. And last, the negation statement. The negation statement is, I brush my teeth and it's not morning. The negation statement is always P and not Q. So once again, P is brush my teeth because that was the first phrase of the conditional statement at the top. And not the morning is the negation of the second phrase in the conditional statement at the top. Example 2, shorter sentence, I eat what I cook. We need to write that as a conditional statement. So we need to write that as an if-then statement. So the conditional if-then statement will be, if I cook it, then I eat it. So once again, this is a great point to pause this video. Do more than just write this down. Think about why that conditional statement means the same thing as I eat what I cook. And once you've wrapped your mind around that, think about the converse error, because these are so easily mixed up, especially when you're new to logical statements. The mistake that everyone might make here is, if I eat it, then I cooked it. But that's not what the original sentence, that's not what I eat what I cook means. Think about that. Once again, pause and think here. I eat what I cook. So that means if I cooked it, then I eat it. Because I eat what I cook. It does not mean if I eat it, then I cooked it. You can eat other things. I can eat McDonald's. And I can still say I eat what I cook, even though I eat McDonald's. Those are not contradicting statements. That's why the converse error is an error. Next, we'll go over just the converse. Well, the converse statement follows pretty naturally now that we've discussed what the converse error is. The converse statement is the statement in the converse error. It means that if I eat it, then I cooked it. The inverse statement is not P, then not Q. If not P, then not Q. Because once again, P is the first clause of the conditional statement. If I cook it, that's P. The second clause is, then I eat it. That's Q. So the inverse statement would be, I don't cook it, then I don't eat it. You negate both clauses, but you keep the order the same. Next, the contrapositive statement negates both clauses and reverses the order. So make sure, again, you copy those definitions down on 10.1. Sorry to sound like a broken record. This is impossible without those definitions. So see, both clauses are negated here. They both say I don't, but the order is now reversed from the original conditional statement. If I don't eat it, then I don't cook it. So the order gets reversed. It goes, if not Q, then not P. And last, we have the negation. If I cook it, not if I cook it, I cook it, and I don't eat it. There's no if in the negation statement. That's why I misspoke. It's just P and not Q. I cook it, and I don't eat it. Here's our next example. I only eat what I cook. Oh. Doesn't that sound like the example we just did? I eat what I cook versus I only eat what I cook. I want to teach you something about phrasing. What would the conditional statement be if I only eat what I cook? That means if I eat it, then I cooked it. Because I only eat the foods that I cook. So I don't go to McDonald's anymore. I only eat the foods that I cook. So that's why you have to think about these things carefully to make sure you understand what order to put the phrases in. In this case, we need to say, if I eat it, then I cooked it. It has to be in that order to be equivalent, logically, to the original statement. Next, we always need to talk about the converse error because that's the thing that people get mixed up with the conditional statement all the time. The converse error would be assuming that this means if I cook it, then I eat it. But that was our last example. These sound very, very similar, but they are different. So once again, pause here, think carefully about these things. This takes a little getting used to. And then when you're ready, let's continue on to the converse statement. So remember, the converse reverses the order of the original conditional statement. So now, if I cook it, then I eat it. Converse means reverse. Next, we'll talk about the inverse statement. Inverse actually doesn't mean change the order of the original conditional statement. It just means negate both phrases. So the original conditional statement was, if I eat it, then I cooked it. So I'm going to keep those phrases in order, but I'm going to negate both of them. If I don't eat it, then I didn't cook it. That's the inverse statement. The contrapositive statement is both. It's both the reverse of the original conditional statement, and both phrases are negated. So if I don't cook it, then I don't eat it. See how that's not Q, then not P? Because P, back in the original conditional statement, was if I eat it. And Q was then I cooked it. So now we have not Q, I don't cook it, then not P, I don't eat it. That's what a contrapositive statement is. And last we have the negation. Remember, the negation is P and not Q. It's not an if-then statement, it's an and statement. So P is if I eat it, and not Q is I didn't cook it. So that's how you write the negation statement. Let's look at one more example. I always call my mom on Sunday. What's the conditional statement? If I call my mom, then it's Sunday, or if it's Sunday, then I call my mom? Think about that. If it's Sunday, then I call my mom. Why is that the same as that original English sentence? Why is that logical statement the same thing? Well, because I always call my mom on Sunday. So if it's Sunday, I'm going to call her. But that doesn't mean I can't call my mom on Tuesday if I want to, right? So that's why this order has to be in this order. It has to be Sunday first, call my mom second. So it's Sunday is the P statement. I call my mom is the Q statement. Once again, we'll go over the converse error first because that is the easiest thing to mix up. The converse error would be assuming that this means if I call my mom, then it's Sunday. But like I said, the very original phrase at the top doesn't say I can't call my mom on a Tuesday. It doesn't say that. It just says I always call on Sunday. Well, maybe I'm going to call on Tuesday too. So that's why the converse error would be assuming if I call my mom, then it's Sunday. Next, we'll go over the converse statement. Remember, the converse is the reverse of the original conditional statement. So if I call my mom, then it's Sunday. That is the converse statement. The inverse statement is not a reversal of the order. It is a negation of both P and Q. So if it's not Sunday, then I don't call my mom because P was it's Sunday and I call my mom was the Q. So not P, then not Q is the inverse statement. The contrapositive statement, remember that's both. That's both a reversal of the order and a negation of both P and Q. So if I don't call my mom, then it's not Sunday. You have to reverse the order of the original conditional statement and negate both P and Q. The negation statement, remember that's not an if-then statement, that's an and statement. It's Sunday, and I don't call my mom. That's P and not Q. Now you try. So here's a little screenshot of part of your worksheet. So you need to practice here. After you do that, you can start your Chapter 10 homework if you'd like. There are a lot of problems just like these examples that I've shown you in your Chapter 10 homework, so you should start by practicing those. And then once you come across some of Excel's if function questions while you're in your Chapter 10 homework, then you might want to take a break from that and watch the 10.2 video because that's when we're going to go over the Excel's if function.